And joining us now is Democratic Congressman Adam Smith. Congressman, thank you very much for being with us. It does look very much like there will be a vote one way or another on keeping Kevin McCarthy as Speaker. How do you plan to vote on keeping Kevin McCarthy?
I haven't decided yet. I mean, first of all, I will listen to our leadership, Leader Jeffries and the caucus to figure out what the best approach is. Look, one of the problems is, you know, I heard your quote about a member of the Democratic caucus saying they wouldn't come cheap. McCarthy has made it clear that he doesn't keep his promises. He promises whatever he has to get through the moment, and then the second that moment is done, he wipes the slate clean and starts over. So there's really nothing he can, quote, promise us that's going to make any difference. I mean, he made a deal on the debt ceiling on what the appropriations bill should look like and bailed on that the second it wasn't convenient. So promises aren't going to get us there, and for Kevin McCarthy to be talking about protecting the institution, the guy who ultimately sided with Trump and the insurrectionists over January 6th, it's really hard to see Speaker McCarthy as a credible figure in any of this.
How much do you trust Kevin McCarthy?
I don't. I mean, they just played out. Look, you know, I mean, I've been in those rooms where you have to make deals with, you know, the other side, whether it's the Senate or the Republicans, and every time you do that, you know that some members of your own caucus aren't going to like it, but you stand by the agreement because that's how the institution works. Kevin McCarthy does not do that. I mean, he will make a promise to you and he will break it the second it's in his best interest to do that. And so we have to factor that in as we're figuring out how to vote on this. Now, all of that said, as bad a speaker as Kevin McCarthy is, as a friend of mine likes to say, it can always get worse, and we have to contemplate that. What is the alternative? What will happen if McCarthy's not Speaker anymore? It's bad enough while he is. We've seen the chaos of the first 8 months, 9 months, whatever it is. But, you know, we have to calculate what would come next.
Do you have any thoughts on that? What do you think would come next?
Well, yes, I do have thoughts on that. They're not fully formed at this point because this is an unprecedented situation, but it seems likely that if McCarthy was ousted as Speaker, we would go through an extended period of time without a Speaker because the Republicans would have to try to figure that out. How extended a period of time? What are the consequences of not having a Speaker? Because as I understand it, the rules of the House are that if you don't have a Speaker, you can't do anything else until you get one. We saw that last January. So vote after vote after vote after vote, trying to get to 218 for a Speaker. What are the implications of that? That's something that I'm weighing as well. But look, again, I want to emphasize, Speaker McCarthy brought this on himself. He sided with Trump and the insurrectionists. He's broken his word countless times, and he's governed from the far right. I mean, Democrats are supposed to be excited about a speaker whose plan for the continuing resolution was to cut everything but defense by 30%, to cut housing, to cut education, to cut DEA agents, to cut health care by 30%. That was his plan, and this is the guy we want running the House? I mean, from my perspective, from a Democrat's perspective, you can see why we would have a problem with that.
One of the things that's not part of this continuing resolution is new funding for Ukraine. What, if anything, could Kevin McCarthy promise on that would make you feel better about voting to keep him?
Well, let me help you here. He can't promise anything. He can do some things, and that's one other possibility here. You know, we, too, any member of the House can make the motion to vacate. And the way I would look at it is the two big things that I would want right now is a vote on a supplemental for Ukraine and the passage of appropriations bills. Because as you well know, we just bought ourselves until November 17th. We face another shutdown. We don't have appropriations. Continuing resolutions are terrible. So the two big things that I would want is a vote on a supplemental to support Ukraine and passage of the appropriations bills. You know, maybe we reject Matt Gaetz's motion to vacate now, but say, you know, we will be happy to entertain that motion if you don't get those two things done. So again, I wouldn't take anything that Kevin McCarthy promises. If he does something, if he actually delivers something, that's a different conversation. But you know, believing in a promise from him just doesn't seem like a smart thing to do.
I've been covering Congress in different ways for many, many years. What's unusual this time, it really does seem like you're working through this. It really doesn't seem like you're 100% sure where you're going to be tomorrow or even 6 hours from now, depending on how things play out.
I've been doing this for a long time, too, and I guess I'm a little weird. I like to be honest with people about what I'm thinking and where I'm coming from. I think it is the best approach, and that's the honest, balancing assessment. Look, there's this huge pile of stuff against Kevin McCarthy being Speaker, and literally the only thing the guy's got going for him is the situation could possibly be even worse without him. And that's what we need to think about, is what are the exact implications. And like I said, substance matters here. Pass the appropriations bills, give us a vote on the Ukraine supplemental. That's substantively what matters. Whatever personality conflicts Matt Gaetz and Kevin McCarthy have going on, that may be fascinating for television, but we Democrats are interested in governing the country and governing it effectively, and that's what we're going to be focused on.
Governing it effectively. When all is said and done here, if Democrats emerge from this without any of the things you just mentioned, how will you feel about that?
How will I feel about that? Well, obviously, I'll be disappointed. But look, control what you can control. The notion that we Democrats who are in the minority in the House have control of this situation is completely wrong. We don't. We're going to try to influence, we're going to try to move it in the right direction. As we go through this, it motivates me more and more to try to make sure that Democrats retake the House next year so that the House can actually function. I mean, regardless of where you're at on the ideological spectrum, a minimum that I think we would all like is to have a functioning House. And Speaker McCarthy and more broadly, the entire Republican caucus, this is not just on McCarthy. They picked him. They have allowed Matt Gaetz to influence the process to the degree that they have. We need different leadership in the House, and we need Democratic leadership in the House if we're going to get back to any sort of sensible governance.
Congressman Adam Smith, I really do appreciate your time. I think you've given us a really good sense of where things stand, at least on your side of the aisle, as we sit here at 11:31 Eastern Time on Monday. I think every hour that passes, things may develop.
Things may change, yes.
Keep us posted as to what you hear. We appreciate it, Congressman. Thank you.
Thanks for the chance.